The rate of price changes is steady, well below the midpoint of the Reserve Bank's target bracket. Inflation increased by 0.9% between January and February. Food inflation ticked up slightly, rising by 1.9% from 1.5% in January, with higher food price changes recorded in the fruits and nuts, sugar and cereals categories. Hot beverages inflation also remained elevated at 14.6%.
The annual rate for food and non-alcoholic beverages accelerated to 2.8% in February from 2.3% in January. Fruit and nuts, vegetables, hot beverages, seafood, meat and cereals recorded higher rates. On the downside, cold beverages, milk, dairy and eggs, oils and fats and sugar, confectionery and desserts witnessed slower price increases.
Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group also traces food inflation. It says while food inflation is subdued, it's worrying that the increase is driven by maize.
The numbers between Stats SA and, of course, our basket differs, but the trends are similar. We have seen about a 0.7% increase in food price inflation. And so that is a little bit worrying. It is not yet at an alarming rate because, the general CPI is still within the benchmark area of the Reserve Bank. And we have seen particularly the main increase to food price inflation is being driven in particular by maize, which is, of course, seasonal in nature, depending on whether we get enough rains.
Going forward, economists are worried about administered prices here at home, as well as the global environment that can affect supply chains and negatively impact the rand.
The inflation pressures are moderate in South Africa and would be expected to lead to further interest rate cuts later in the year. However, for this month in March, South Africa's Monetary Policy Committee is likely to pause in its decision because it has assessed risks to the upside at the last meeting and also the unpredictability of the global environment. The bottom line essentially for South Africa will be how the inflation outlook is changed or not for the course of this year and next year. We continue to expect inflation to be contained, but the Reserve Bank to be cautious, pausing at the March MPC meeting after cutting already in January and last year.
The recent inflation expectations survey conducted by the Bureau for Economic Research shows inflation is forecasted to average 4.3% this year, well within the Reserve Bank's 3 to 6% target band. Gloria Sefako Musi, SABC News, Johannesburg.